Okay, hi everybody. This is Hope from hopeyoder.com, and I'm excited to be invited to do the very first webinar. I love all of Floriana's webinars, as I'm sure you do, and that's how I've learned to digitize. So my plan over the next several months is to teach you how to get crafting. So before we get started, I would like to show you some of the projects we've made in the office using the Craft and Cut and our digital cutter. So let me just bring this up and show you a little inspirational, and I'll talk through each one telling you the techniques that were used, and then I'll go into the software and I will actually show you some lessons. So here is a little mirror, everything SVG, or some new products we have coming to teach you this. This is glass etching done with vinyl. And in the next slide, these are some of the designs that are free in your Craft and Cut box. Here's another picture. Then we have some heat transfer vinyl put onto a koozie, great wedding gift. Here is some glitter and smooth heat transfer vinyl and applique. This is etched with a power blasting etcher. This is SVG to applique. Here is some layered vinyl with registration marks. We did some more layered vinyl with registration marks. This is heat transfer vinyl. Heat transfer vinyl and rhinestones. This is flocked velvety heat transfer vinyl where we did some welding. This is my beautiful daughter Hannah, and the daisy is a Craft and Cut. And I'll stop this. We'll go into this right now. So just to show you some of the really cool things that you can make. And couple things, let me tell you this so I don't get excited and forget. I just typed up while I was waiting for the webinar to start just some important things that are good to know and to follow every time you create a design. So this will be available to you after the webinar, and we'll decide where we're going to put that information. You can email me, Hope Yoder, and we can send you that. But I'll be talking about that as we go. So upon opening the program, you're going to select New Page. When New comes up, you have this map preview, and you can choose to work with the map preview shown, or you can remove it so that you could zoom in. So if you have specific size mats, here's your drop-down menu, and you can select your own. If you have a 15-inch mat, you can change that. Now I am in millimeters, so I'm going to right-click in this toolbar and select inches. So I could say that I have a 15 by 30-inch mat. Make sure you hit apply, and that will show you the whole area. I'd like to work without the mat, and I'll show you why in a minute. So let's get started, and one of the #1 things I'd like you to know is this is an artwork program, and so you're going to think about it a little differently than an embroidery program. And so to do that, you're going to come under File, and you're always, 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 always going to import artwork and never choose to open it. You're going to open a machine embroidery design, but you're going to, or a WAF file, which we'll talk about, but you're going to import artwork. So let's get started with this. Now let me show you what I'm working on. In your Craft and Cut box, you would have received 2 CDs. And so the first one has some original artwork designs that I created just for this program for you to use in some lessons. So some of the designs I'm working for, you can find the files in your box in this CD. They're artwork files. If you'd like more education, then we also have a CD in there with video tutorials. So what I'm doing right now, let's see, which one will we start with? Let's start with this baseball. I'm going to open the baseball, or rather import it. So again, how I did that was File, Import, and then you're going to find your baseball. Step #1 would be to get it the size that you want. And I'm in inches, so 5 inches seems great. Double click on the magnifying glass to bring this full screen. Sometimes you may be doing something and your design flies way off the screen and you can't see it. Here's a good tip. Double click on the magnifying glass. Over in your layers property, we want to add a monogram. Now this baseball design is free to you and it's in that CD that came in your box. I want to add circular letters. So I'm going to import and I'm going to go into the circle monograms, and that's on the CD, and I'm going to start with the left letter, and I'll bring in an A, and I'll just do ABC to make it simple. I'm going to go out. Now I'm going to go to the center monogram, and again I'll repeat these designs. You have these free in your box. Now let's go to import the right monogram, and we'll choose C. Now for right now, one of the things that you can do, I don't really need to work with the baseball, so I'm going to hide the baseball by just deselecting the eye area. And let's zoom in a little bit. Once I've zoomed in, I'm going to select the select tool. Now to line these up, I'm going to kind of get them about the distance that I want apart. They're not in line, but I want them to form a circle. So I'm going to select these, and here's some great tools. You have your distribute horizontally. That makes the spacing even. Now let's deal with getting them in line. And so my next tool is going to be to vertically center align. Perfect. Now let's group it by selecting the group icon. I'm going to turn back on my baseball, double click on my magnifying glass, and drag this over. Up. I don't think I grouped my baseball, and you'd want to group your baseball because if you don't, it won't move as one unit. So the best button, your best friend, is your undo. You can undo that as many times as necessary. So I'm going to select both items or both layers of the baseball and group them. That way I don't accidentally move something. And this is really too big, so I can resize it two ways, by dragging on the arrow, or I can come under transform and make it any size. Make sure you hit apply. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Looks like I could drag it up a little taller to make it fit inside the circle monogram. All right, I'm going to zoom out. I'm at 129%. I'm going to go to 100. Whoa, 100%. And now I am so excited about this. I do a lot of machine applique, as most of you probably know, and that gets me excited, but what gets me even more excited is this is one of the features that I was so excited that they put in the program at my consistent suggestions, and it's called layered vinyl registration marks. So let me show you this. I would like to put this, let's say, on a back of my car. And aligning vinyl can be very difficult to get everything to line up. So check this out. We're going to come and select all items. This is layered vinyl registration marks. So when I select this, I have options. I'm going to keep everything at the default. And what has happened is this has created layered registration marks for me. And let me show you. I'm just going to go through the process, and then I'll show you a short video where you can find that to see why this is so awesome. Before, in every other program that I've used, which is about 7 programs for different digital cutting machines, I had to create these manually. So I'm going to select all the white layers. My baseball is white, so I want to cut a white layer of vinyl. Next, I want to cut a red layer of vinyl, and my third color of vinyl I'll put on my mat would be black. But I want these registration marks here to align. So when I lay one layer of vinyl over the other, I don't have to look at the area, anything but the squares. So let's hit Cut Preview. This will generate the cut files. When I bring this in, it looks like a big box, but don't worry. Over in the layers, select this last layer, and it's filled in with color. Deselect that, hit Apply, and now you can see what my cut layer of vinyl is going to look like. My next step is I'm going to bring this through Save to Cut, but we'll wait until I get the other 3 colors of vinyl. I'm going to come back, and now I'm going to select my red vinyl because I want to cut it next. So I'm going to select the red, the little red squares, and the red box. So I have 3 items. I'm going to send this to Cut Preview again. Don't worry about the solid box. Just select it and deselect Filled. Press Apply. That's what my weeded red piece of vinyl will look like. Go back to the original design, and we're going to do the same thing for the black. We're going to select the black ABC, the black registration layered squares, and the box. Select Cut Preview. Deselect the mouse, the mat. Double click on the magnifying glass. Select the square, which is always the last layer, and unfill it. Perfect. Now notice we have a whole lot of area down here that you're going to think you're wasting vinyl, and not to worry. We've got to keep that much area so that these registration marks match up. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to group all of these just to show you a visual before we move on. Now if I were to take this layer, and I can right click and copy it, and I'm going to paste it on here. I want you to see how the squares line up. Perfect. Now I'm going to take the black, right click, select copy, go back to the white, right click, select paste. That is so exciting to me because now I've got the complete baseball. So I can select these individually and Save to Cut. Now that I've got my design created, here's our next step. You're going to go through Save to Cut. This is so exciting. If you haven't played with the software yet, this is a feature that you are going to love. It is just an amazing powerhouse that's going to take all the fear and all of the guesswork out of your digital cutting. Are you new to digital cutting? Have you successfully cut several things, or is your digital cutter still in the box in pristine condition? When I go around and do webinars, a lot of times I hear that theirs hasn't even been out of the box, and maybe you're like that as well, but with Craft and Cut you don't need to be, because Save to Cut is going to do this for you. So select Save to Cut. Your first menu, you have 4 different brands of cutters to choose from. So you're going to select whichever brand of cutter you own. So we'll just leave it at Brothers Scan and Cut. Next, you have options for your type of material, and I want to do vinyl, so I'm going to select vinyl. Now right away, the Craft and Cut Save to Cut tells me, hey Hope, I know that you're a little bit new to this, so you're going to use your 12 by 12 mat. I'm going to select Next, and here is where the powerhouse comes in. This is going to tell me different settings, blade depth, cut pressure, and application instructions. You'll read this. But what I'd like to show you is special instructions. Click on the YouTube link. So this is a video. I won't play it all. I'll just fast forward through the parts where you'll see how the registration marks were used. And so you can watch this at your leisure. And I talk about weeding, and let me get right up to the point where the magic happens. The thing that I have to do is match up the blue squares with the red squares. I don't have to worry about any of this. This is why I've covered the sticky part back up with the paper. So I'm going to usually stand up and kind of lean over, and you've got one shot to make this happen. And so I'm going to slowly and carefully, slow and steady, match up all the squares. Looks like I did a pretty good job. Shocking being on camera. It's a little difficult to do that, but I got it on one shot. Now, if I didn't get it on one shot, you could go through with it and finish it, and it might look okay, and you might line up. That means if it does really stick to my tape. Immediately, so you can watch that video at your leisure. That'll explain the registration marks. Go ahead and click Next on the Save to Cut, and it'll say don't forget. So this is a message for me that I've told them to put these different tips and hints based on what I see that I forget. Sometimes I forget to mirror image, things like that. So you'll read that and then click Finish. And it is going to pop up, and because I told it I'm using my scan and cut, it automatically defaults to the format that my scan and cut needs. That's exciting, because if your digital cutter hasn't been used and gotten a good workout lately, you may not know what format that you need. So just leave it at the default as long as you selected your cutter. And I would put baseball vinyl. And this one is my black layer, so I name this black, and then save it. This is great. Print this out. This tells you all the settings, the blade types, the tips, and it even reminds you that there's a video there. So once you've printed this out, select Close. That's my black vinyl layer. I'm going to do the same thing to the red. So I will go through Next, Next, Finish, and there's my file. I'm going to call this red, because that way I know I need to lay red vinyl. And we would close this out, and I'm all done, and I would do the same thing for the white. Now the very last step is you need to save this as a WAF file, because what if you cut this baseball out and you know it was really a lot bigger than you thought it would be? If you don't save it at the native format, which is a WAF file, then you would have to start all over again designing it. So come under File, Save As. Notice the default is WAF. So I will just back off this vinyl. Notice I can't spell, oh well, hit Save. So that's the baseball. Let me start a new screen. I made the baseball, I did the layers, it worked out great, but I want it even bigger. So how am I going to do that? Or I want to change something. So I'm going to now open the WAF file. I import artwork, but now I want to make changes. So I would open this up and get this full screen. And I could now just take this out, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to ungroup it. Those letters were not close enough. I need them closer. So I could do this. Let me hide everything else to give you another idea. And let me hide the white. So what if I want to use a touch and kind of make my own emblem? I could do that. Now here, if I select this, it's filled. Let me unfill it. I could weld this together. Notice all of these lines in the middle here. That's going to cut two different pieces of vinyl, so we'd have a bite taken out of it. But if I wanted it to cut and read as one piece of vinyl without all of these lines here, I'm going to come under my powerhouse of tools, select the drop-down menu, and weld. And what I'd like you to look at is right here. Notice this overlap and this overlap. When I select weld, they're gone, and that's what I want. So now I have this really cool emblem. If I fill it in and hit apply, well, let's just go, you can see what that's going to look like. I could cut that out. So just an idea of why you might want to change and save a WAF file to edit it later. All right, so let's get rid of all these and let's start a new function here. Let's take applique. Here is the picture, and we'll get these open for you. So if I wanted to embroider a design on a koozie, here's what I would do. Let me just show you the embroidery steps of it first, and then I'll create it for you. The placement line would be just that. It would stitch a running stitch so I know where to put my pre-cut digital applique files. So there's step color number 1. I would then lay down my pre-cut applique pieces, and then it would stitch a tack down, and in this case we chose a blanket stitch and then some fill running stitches. So let me show you how to create that. I'm going to go under File and Import. Now this is a design from my Text Me embroidery collection, which also contains the SVG files. I'm sorry, this is all about boys embroidery design collection, and the embroidery is about 1 inch in size, but we give you the SVG files, and here's what you could do with that. So I'm going to bring this in. It's tiny. Look how small that is. So let's make this about 3 inches. Make sure you hit apply. Oh, I think I want that bigger. Let's just say we're going to do a 5 by 7 hoop. Perfect. Double click. Now, in the layers view window, we have this outline, which is going to be hard to create an applique, but I want to use it. And then we have this filled outline. So I'm going to hide the black, and I'm going to turn this into applique. Now, this is so exciting for the Craft and Cut, because all I have to do is select applique. Here's my 3D. Wait, did you miss that? Let me go back. Select this part, select applique, let's do 3D, and let me click off. Now slow redraw is here. And let's just do this fast. So you've got so many options. It's going to do the placement, the tack down, and all of those great things. But what if I did not want to do, I'm going to combine these as well, so instead of having 3 colors, we're going to have it in 1 color. So when you open this up, for the applique, you have options. First of all, I did a blanket stitch, but we'll stay with the satin stitch. 4 is probably too wide, so I'm going to make a 3 millimeter. Under applique extra, this is what I love. You have the tack down. That's color number 2. I don't usually want a run. I'd like a zigzag. So add a run. Here's what it looks like. Notice in my toolbar menu, the yellow is the placement line and the green is the tack down. And when I zoom in, one of the things that's brilliant about the program is that you've got the option now to come under applique extra. Instead of having it a run stitch, you can have it as a satin stitch for color number 2. So here's color number 1. Color number 2 is going to be a zigzag, and that gives me more padding. Let's say we love that and we're ready. Oh, maybe we'll do a blanket stitch like my picture. So select blanket stitch and apply. Now on a blanket stitch, you're not going to want zigzag underlay. So let's show you that. That would be really messy. So here, come back, and under the tack down, say run and apply. And let's see if I can get that picture up there again. And here's that picture. So see how I've done that. Now let's go back and create the other run stitch lines. So I'm liking the way that looks. I'm going to open up this layer and we'll hide this now. Now with this, I also have the ability to select a run stitch. So with the Craft and Cut, you can create applique files from SVG files. You can choose a satin stitch like I just showed you, or a blanket stitch, or a motif stitch, and there's over 400 motif stitches. So I want to just kind of outline this. I am done. Let me do that again, because if you blinked, you missed it. It's that easy. Here we go. All right, run, bam. Now, I could do this as a double run, which you're not going to notice in the realistic view very much. Here's a bean, and I have a choice between 3, 5, 7, and 9, and I believe we chose 5 on the picture. I'll show you that picture again. All right. And if we go here, you can choose a motif stitch. So if I choose a motif, that's not very pretty, so let's just keep trying. Here's one of my favorite motif stitches. It's a sweet candle wicking stitch, and it is stitch 292. That looks pretty good. We can change the pattern size. That actually looks pretty darn good, but I don't know that a boy superhero would want candle wicking stitches. So let's change it back to this. And let's turn this on. Perfect. We're ready. Now we can select a pattern. So if you're a visual person, under pattern, the little 3, select OK, and I am going to do that out of yellow. Now I've got a great visual. So I'm done with the design. Number 1, I'm going to save the design as what? A WAF file. And so I'll call this applique. Now the next thing is I cannot embroider a WAF file, so I'm going to save it as the embroidery file that my machine requires. So now I'm going to save as, and you have all of these options here that you can use. So let's save this as your embroidery file. Next, I'm going to send this to the cut preview window to generate and create my cut file in one click. Beautiful. I'm ready to send this through Save to Cut. Now I'm going to use whatever cutter that you have. So we can choose the Brother Scan and Cut, and we'll leave that at the default. And this is going to be Batik with applique. That's a fusible webbing with a paper backing. So a couple questions I've been asked is, Batik, well, it could be cotton or any type of fabric. Basically, that just means fabric. So next, again, I've got my application video here, which will take you to YouTube, and it'll talk about fusible webbing. And here's a link to find that webbing that I talk about. We're going to hit Finish, and I'm going to save this. As my POW applique. Now one thing too, let me just get rid of this for a second. One thing I've started doing, and this is a really good hit, come under Transform, and now I work in millimeters, but you may work in inches. I'm going to change this to millimeters. I would like to save the millimeter if it's applique size. So let's go through the step again, and I'm going to put POW, and I could abbreviate for applique, but then I'm going to put 118.9 wide, and then a big X for times 90.74 high. That number you're going to find in the Properties window, because some digital cutters could bring in an artwork and resize it, and if it's machine applique, it's super important that you get it exactly the right size. So I'm in the habit of saving that in my file extension. Save as. Don't forget to print this with your printer, and you're good to go. What do you guys think so far? I know you can't hear me. I hate that you can't hear me and ask questions, but I hope that you're having learning some things and having a good time. I'm going to go into something else. So first, let me get back to another page and kind of start with the craft and cut and why it was created and my role in creating it. I love digital cutting and machine embroidery, and I really like when I can marry two things together, and I love that the digital cutting saves me time and I have more time to do other things, or I can run 2 or 3 machines at once if I have pre-cut applique pieces. And my history is I use just about everybody's software program, and just like an embroidery machine, there's great features that you love, and we hear all the time, I wish they would put all the favorite embroidery machine features in one machine and sell it because I would buy it. Well, what my vision for this was, the programs that I use, which would be just about every graphic program from Make the Cut to Simple Cut to Brother Scan and Cut to Corel Draw, you name them, I own them and use them. I wanted to create something that would be user-friendly for an embroiderer, somebody that doesn't necessarily work in a graphics program, so that you could do all these things that take me a lot of time, like the layered registration marks. I used to have to create those and copy and paste, and it would take forever. But now with one simple click, you can do that. So I hope you're excited about this. If there are there are so many things coming up too. This is just the beginning. So if you're not excited yet, just wait, you will be. So what should we make next? Here is the POW. Let's do this design. So this is heat transfer vinyl. Let me show you a couple quick things. So this was a baby onesie, an old project that we did. It looks like the baby is, you know, ultra cool, hanging sunglasses off. And this is one we did in my event in Sarasota in January. We made these little shake it off towels. Now the salt and pepper are designs that you have inside of the Craft and Cut and the 264 artwork files. So what we've done with the salt and pepper is we've welded it, and we've created the S and the P and knocked it out, and with the shake it off text. So let's create that. I feel like I need rocking music in the background. I'm going to get rid of the mat. And do I open artwork? No, import artwork. So let's find the salt and pepper shaker. Now look at the design in the preview. It looks a whole lot different than this. So let's put this kind of over here small so that you can see it as I'm working towards this. All right, so we'll move him kind of over here. And with the salt and pepper shaker, I didn't want the black and the white inside of there, so the easiest way to get rid of things would just to become in your layers panel and select them, and I right-click and left-click on delete. Oops, I accidentally got rid of my, let's see here. We'll get rid of that too because I'm going to use my own letters. So now when I come in here and I zoom in, we've got this to deal with. So if I was to close these off, I have my salt and pepper shakers. Those are perfect. I want to weld each of these on top of the bottle. If you'll look at my picture, which is here, we've got just one piece of flocked vinyl. So let's create that. And I kind of showed you that in the last thing. So let's take the bottle and this top and weld. Perfect. Now notice the holes are gone. And we'll create more holes using built-in artwork. To make sure that you actually welded this, deselect fill. Now notice I still have a line there. Let me undo that and hit undo one more time. One of the things that in order to weld something, it must touch and overlap. So if I bring this down a little bit more and select them both and weld them now look what happened. Now I have one unit and it left the holes in there. So that's perfect. No need to do the same thing again. I can just delete both of these rather than going through that process. Select them, right-click, delete. Excuse me, I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste this over. Whoops, sorry, I'm keeping you on your toes. Are y'all awake out there? Let's try it again. I'm not sure what's happening, but I know what DJ would say. It's because I'm on a Mac. Well, let's go back. I'm at 1%. Let's try 100%. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Sorry about that, folks. All right, so I'm going to transform it. I love that I can just do this at, and give me a number, any number. Let's do -39. I'll go back to straight, and then -30. Apply. I like that. I'll bring it off. Now to create the S and the P, let's use some text. So your text tool, question I get asked all the time, can I use my own text? Absolutely. You have built-in text, which are beautiful fonts you can scroll through, or you can use anything that's already on your computer, and that would be a true type font. So you're going to select something, and I kind of have boring fonts, but let's just see what this looks like. That's not bad. So let's take this and let's change that because I don't think I like that. Let's do a little script. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a different color. Obviously this is too big, so I'll just resize it however I want it. And I won't take the time to do the P for pepper, but I have that. And I want to weld this together, so I can select both of these. Actually, I don't even need to weld it, because if you come back and I unfill this and apply it, and unfill this and apply it, this is going to cut everything out. Now I can add the shake it off, just like I did, in any text I want. So we use, and let's use a block letter. And I would like to use a second letter for a second style. I like this dill pickle. Perfect. Let's bring him down. And bring this one down. And we'll just do this one a little bit different. Shake it off. What I'd like to show you now are the different text tools. So if I reselect this by clicking on the T, I have all these little nodes. And so I could bring these closer together if I wanted. I could bring them close enough to touch and overlap to weld them. I can also right-click and use envelope, and this gives us the most common different types of stretching, if you will. So I don't like that envelope. Let's try doing this. Perfect. I love that. Now I can just kind of drag him up. Now I have all these little nodes, but if I get off of that, I can easily just kind of resize that, do what I want. So if I liked this, which I do, I think it's really cute, I would just add my pepper, and the easiest way to do that would be to copy it and paste it, and then add the key. So with this, all of this is going to be heat transfer vinyl. So let's go ahead and run it through Cut Preview. I know some of you are thinking something, just wait for it. All right, so I have this here, and I'm going to cut this all out of one piece of vinyl instead of two colors, so I can go ahead and combine everything to one color, so we won't worry about the different colors. But I am going to run it through Save to Cut, because let's say I've never cut flocked heat transfer vinyl before. And again, here's our project. You can see it's all one piece, or one color rather, of heat transfer vinyl, and it's very velvety feeling. So next I'm going to go through Save to Cut. And let's pick a different cutter this time. Let's say we have the Sizzix Eclipse 2 cutter. And now I have heat transfer vinyl, but flocked. So look for flocked heat transfer vinyl. Great. I need a 12 by 12 mat. That's perfect. Next, it's going to give me all the settings for the Eclipse 2. I love that. Special applications. It's also going to give me a link again for the video, which you've seen. I am going to scroll down to finish reading. I'm going to go to the next. Here, did you guys catch me? I made a mistake, a really bad mistake. If I was going to cut this, I would get the opportunity to hone my skills and cut it again, because I forgot to follow my own instructions. When using vinyl for standard or flocked heat seal, remember you need to mirror image your design so it shows up correct. Did you mirror image the design? No, I didn't. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm going to come right here to flip horizontally. Beautiful. Now I can run it through the Save to Cut, but before I do that, I'm going to run it through Cut Preview. All right, and then I'm going to go back through the Save to Cut. This is great because I can't tell you how many times I have forgotten to mirror image. I've even seen some of my friends that have put mirror image heat transfer vinyl right on their cutter, and they've cut it out of vinyl and stuck it on, and we still forget to do that. So yep, I'm solid. I remembered to do that, and because I said the Eclipse 2, it's generated now an SVG file. And this is not applique, so I'm not going to care as much about the file size in here. I'm going to say Save. I'm going to print this because it has all my great information. Now what I need to do is go back to the original design and save it as a WAF. If you said WAF, you're absolutely right. So I would save this as a WAF, and I might call this working file. Instead of working girl, working file. Work it, girl. So I'm going to save this. All right, so now you've seen the layered vinyl with registration marks, Cut Preview, how important Save to Cut is. Let me put this document back up. So a couple of the things to just share with you to get in the habit of. Number one, always import artwork. Even though you can open it, don't. It won't do the same thing for you. When you finished your design or your masterpiece, you're going to do the following. You're going to save your creation as a WAF file. That way, if it didn't cut like you thought it would, or in your head it was beautiful and when you made it, it wasn't so much, then you can change that file and edit it without starting all over again. So you also want to save it, if it's machine embroidery, you're going to save it in the embroidery format that your machine requires. Next, on 3, you're going to run it through the cut preview window so Craft and Cut can make the cut files for you. And last, you're going to run it through Save to Cut icon. And this takes the fear and the guesswork out of your digital cutting. It's your powerhouse. Please don't forget to use the Save to Cut icon. So that's just a little cheat sheet for you. Let me go to a new screen. I'm going kind of fast. This is just meant to be an overview of what the Craft and Cut can do for you. And so this will be recorded so you can watch it again and again. Couple of things that I think are really cool is wordplay, which there's some videos on the website already. Oh, what I didn't show you is making those little circles. And so if we need the little circles in the salt and pepper, here's your circular tool. You've got all of these different options at your disposal, plus you have custom shapes. But right now, we just kind of want an oval. So there's my oval. I'm going to fill him in for you and make him a different color. And so I could add my little holes for my salt and pepper shaker. And I could just copy and paste them to add more. Going to a new screen, let's go and create rhinestones. So with the rhinestone tool, more is coming. This is just the beginning, folks. It's so awesome. I'm going to tell Craft and Cut that I am going to use 10SS. This is my personal favorite size. And I'm going to, wherever I click, I'm going to create a rhinestone hole. And so let me color this in so you can see this. And so there's my hole. Now there is a video where I created a rhinestone project for you, which you'll find in the Save to Cut. But if I wanted to take and create a circle of rhinestones to go around this monogram, because I've saved that working file, I can just copy this. So I'm going to right click, left click, in relationship to where everything is. I've got this monogram and I can resize him however I want. So I've got that on my clipboard. Let's go back to the little rhinestone. I want to make a circle of rhinestones to go around my circular heat transfer vinyl, so I'd be mixing two medias. So to do this, you can use your circle set. And you're just going to play with this. And let's say I think I can get 96 crystals in there. I hit apply. I don't want the crystals to touch each other. So they look like they touch to me. So let's just back off the crystals a little bit. I look like I'm at better. Oops, notice I have this little hole here. I just go in there and I'm good. I can increase the size of my circle too. A lot of variables, hit apply and hit OK. And so when I'm in here now, let's paste this back in, and that looks pretty good. I don't ever, 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 never, ever, ever, ever want to resize my rhinestone design because it's made to fit the 10SS crystals. So I would want to resize my monogram. And then I could center both of them by selecting them both and center. That looks pretty good. So now I have two different parts. So let me select the rhinestone and go through the Save to Cut, Cut Preview. So I'm creating my rhinestone template. Now if I've never done rhinestones before, I'm going to come in here and we'll leave it at the default, but we're going to find the rhinestones, and that is sticky flock. So we might want to put a little note here that sticky flock is actually rhinestones. Sticky flock is the material you're going to cut to create the rhinestones. And in the video, I'll tell you that. So here's all my settings. This is what's going to be really important. I'm going to just assume nobody has done rhinestones before. So we'll put that video up there. We're going to finish this out, and I'm going to call this rhinestone circle for ABC. Perfect. I've got my template to print. I'm going to close this out. Now I'm going to send this second one to Cut Preview because that's going to be heat transfer vinyl. Did you see what I forgot to do? Let me undo that. Let me get rid of this. Come back to my file. I need to mirror image this. Now I'll send it to Cut Preview, save to cut, and now this is heat transfer vinyl. There's my video. Finish, and I'm going to call this, I tried to name the files intelligently. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Heat transfer vinyl, and I'll call it black. I'll save it. My beautiful template that has all my directions on here, and I'm good to go. Now, one thing I did forget to do is the original file. Let's say I cut this, and for some reason I don't like the rhinestone holes or it's too big. I wouldn't want to have to go back and recreate it from the beginning. So I'm going to File, Save As. I will call this the rhinestone circle ABC, and we'll call it Edit, knowing I can edit that. So for instance, I've made that and I've decided I need to change something. So I'm going to go under Open now because I'm not importing artwork, I'm opening that WAF file. So bring it in. And for instance, let's drag this out. This we would not want to resize the rhinestones, but I could make that a little bit bigger. And that would be too big, but I could just play with it and do anything I wanted. What if I decided, hey, I really like this and I want to cut it out of vinyl, not heat transfer vinyl? Do you know that you can still use this same template just like that? So I could take these and send them through Cut Preview and just vinyl and stick it on the front of a cup. So I'm pretty close to finishing time. Let's see what else I could show you. Go back to my pictures. The water bottle. Okay, so the water bottle design looks like this. We're going to do some glass etching. This design you have free on the CD. This is the CD I'm referring to, so you will have the circle monogram inside of this CD. So let's do this one last design. We're going to come in, and it is artwork, so remember we import artwork. And let's find my design. Square. Too obvious. All right, so there's my square. What I've done with the square for the H2O is I just typed in text. And you can change it to anything that you want. Let's find something a little chunkier. Block letter, let's do heavy. And with this, because I'm in the text mode still, I want these to overlap so I can read this whole thing as one file. So to weld, I need the object to not only touch but overlap slightly. So that looks pretty good. Let's see what happens here. I've got these letters. I'm going to actually need to break them apart first. When I break the letters apart, now I can do anything that I want to with it. So let's get a little creative, and I don't care about them being in line. So You're going to be artistic. H2O. Now here's a little thing. You can line them up, but there's also a ruler you can bring down. Or if I did want to be matchy-matchy, because I know some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, they don't line up. You can use this tool to make them line up. Didn't have them all selected. Now they line up, or you can use your ruler. So I'm going to make them line up just because I know some of you are having a hard time with that, as would I. I'm going to unfill this so you can see where they overlap. So I need to deal with this area here. To do that, I'm going to weld. It was still selected from my last time. So there's my H2O, and I want this to weld to the circle and the square. Let's see what my picture looks like again here. Here's the piece of vinyl that's been cut and weeded, and you can see how I want it to connect to the circle area. So now that I have everything selected, let's select it all and weld it and undo it. That did not work very good here. Let's try it one more time. Still not. This is what I love about software. You just get to explore. There's no harm done. Just click a million buttons, and if it doesn't do what you wanted it to do, click some more. All right, so with this, we'll go ahead and we'll fill this in. We probably would want that to be black. If you want it to be all one color, you can select all items and combine it. If I want to cut this out of vinyl, first thing I'm going to do is save as a WAF file, and we'll just call this something random. And now I'm going to send this through the cut preview. I'm cutting vinyl to do glass etching. We'll go through Save to Cut. Now let's pick just a different cutter and vinyl. Next, vinyl application. And there's some special instructions and finish. And I'll call it the same thing. Got my cut file created. Print my template. And I am done. So when I go to cut this out, there is a video on the web page that I made just for you in case you're not familiar with glass etching. This is what your weeded piece would look like. You would use transfer tape to transfer the vinyl off of the paper backing and put it onto the bottle. Use some etching cream, tear it off, there you go, that's what it looks like. So this is just a small beginning of some of the beautiful things that you can make with the Craft and Cut. The layered registration marks are the bomb. I hope that you love that. We have even more. We have automated knockout coming. As always, with all the Floriani products, these are free updates for life. So that's just a small touching of what Craft and Cut can do. I love, love, love this program. It has made my job so much easier. We do a lot of different events, and maybe if you want to find out more about the Craft and Cut, you can check out Floriani's webpage for their events, or check out mine, hopeyoder.com. And what we do specifically for the Craft and Cut is we have 2 events called Cutting Edge Social or a Retreat, and we make some of the projects that I've showed you in front of you, and you get to come up and help us with that. And this is a 1-day event, or a retreat is a 2-day event, and you kind of get to try it out, learn some more about it. Stay tuned for more webinars. Our next webinar will be in June, and then July we'll keep going, so we'll post those dates soon. If you have questions, please remember to type in those questions, and they can get those to us, and that will help us with future webinars, things that you'd like to touch base on. So next time, I'll go a little bit slower, project from start to finish. Today was just a quick look what's underneath the hood and what you can do. So I hope this inspires you to digital cut today. So until June, happy cutting.